Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. You are here right now. You are here no matter where you've been. This moment must begin right now. You are here for good. You are here no matter where you've been. This moment must begin right now. You are here right now. You are here no matter where you've been. This moment must begin right now. You are here now. You are here no matter where you've been. This moment must begin right now. Right now. This moment must begin right
Good morning and welcome. I'm Reverend John Riley, and I have the joy of serving as your senior minister. And it's just so wonderful to see you all here this morning. Thank you for being here, and for those of you who are online, watching live or during the week, you are in our hearts and in our prayers, and know that you are in the right place at the right time right now. If you're new to Unity, what we want you to know is that Unity is a global spiritual community, welcoming people from all walks of life. People who are seeking a deeper experience of spirit, a greater sense of health, wholeness, and abundance. People looking for transformation, spiritual growth, and to do life better. And we teach positive, practical spiritual principles that you can apply in your life every day to help you live a more joyful and abundant life. We're so blessed to have with us this morning, Casey Wicker is joining us on the platform. Margot Leduc is our soloist. Russell Norman is on piano. Ronnie Beck is on drums. I don't know, Polo, are you back there on bass? Not today. Well, Polo's in the booth and Felix is in the booth, and you're all right here. And so we'll begin our service with our opening song. I'll invite you all to stand as Margot leads us.
Oh, let me love in all the holy way. Oh, let me love in all the holy way. Oh, let me love in all the holy way. in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve you.
Oh, let me love in a holy way.
Love, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh,
Oh,
let me
let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve you, Lord.
Holy way.
Thank you, Margot and band. I feel like we just consecrated this place as holy ground, right? Yes, yes, and I hope wherever you are at home you sang and made that holy ground as well. So good word. Thanks, Reverend John. Oh, well, it's so good to be here with you this morning. We are part of a worldwide movement of prayer, publishing, and education that teaches all people of all faiths just how to open and ground ourselves to this juiciness and this joy and the love of life. Yes, yes? Yes, yes. We are a spiritual movement, and wherever you are on your path, you are welcome here. Now, we have 5 core principles that guide us along the way. The first, God is. There is only one presence, one power, active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, omnipotent. And whether you call it God, isness, the universe, you can't be separate from it, because our second principle is the I am. That this is the substance innate in every person and in all creation. You are it. Tag. Okay, our third principle is that of mind action. It is so important for us to know that we have the ability to affect our world. And our fourth, since we have that ability to affect our world, we better know where we're coming from. So let's ground ourselves, right? That's the meditation and prayer. This connects us with the creative, constructive power of God to work in and through us as us. And then the fifth principle, let's put action to it, the daily practice. As we practice these principles daily, we express more of the divine within us, and life just gets better. Yay, good news, good news. Now, we use these core principles to guide us in our vision statement, and that's going to come up on the screen. So, now that we're centered, take a deep breath, center ourselves, and let's say this from the heart together. Centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. And so it is. And now we continue our service to the call to worship.
You are so beautiful to me. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? You're everything I hope for. You're everything I need. You are so beautiful to me.
Today's daily word is world peace. I'll read the affirmation and then I'm going to invite you to affirm it with me. Our affirmation is, I live my vision for a peaceful world. Together, I live my vision for a peaceful world. To bring about peace in the world, I begin by paying attention to my first reaction when I feel I have been treated unjustly. I do not deny my feelings, but neither do I allow anger, envy, or negative feelings to take control of my response. I feel my feelings, but I remain committed to living the truth I know. Regardless of behavior, every person is a divine being, a living expression of God. I call upon my divine faculties of love, faith, and strength to guide my next steps. No matter how another responds, I remain centered in God. My efforts make a difference. Peace between individuals creates peace within families, in communities, and among the nations of the world. From Isaiah 32:17, the effect of righteousness will be peace, and results of righteousness, quietness, and trust forever.
I'm tired of the guilt that brings me pain. Now's the time for me to let go of the shame. The past behind me, I see a new. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. Surrender. I'm ready for my change. Oh, yes, I am. I'm ready for my change. I forgive them. I forgive them. Everything I forgive not change.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to create that peace? Are you ready to share your vision, to express your vision for peace in the world? All right. Are you ready to live with nothing and no one against you? Wow, I didn't expect that much enthusiasm. Well, before we get into that, I just want to say, for those of you who were here last Sunday, how was your Easter experience? I had just a joy. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I don't know why. But I want to say a few things. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of the people who helped prepare the flowers. And if you want to know what it's about, on Saturday before Easter, we get a group of people together to prepare our Easter flowers, to bless them, and then to share in a lovely little light brunch. So thank you to everyone who prepared on Saturday morning. So give everyone a big round of applause. And thanks to everyone for sharing your light and love on Sunday morning. You know, it takes a village to raise a cross. Did you know that? Some people think it should be easy, but you know what? The whole symbol of the cross is overcoming our struggles. And so it's okay that it's a struggle. It's okay that it's imperfect, right? The beauty, we're looking for the beauty in the imperfection, for the gifts, yes? So we are so grateful for all of you who have supported us during this Easter Sunday. Should we bless them? If you were on Saturday or Sunday, would you stand? And for those of you who are not here, we'll see there's one person who was here on Sunday helping. Okay, there's Karen. Yes. Okay, now come on. There we go. No, keep standing. We're going to bless you with our blessing. Together, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we see the light in you. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Well, today, yes, we are embarking on that idea of nothing and no one against you. Everyone take a deep breath. This is going to be a 3-part series. I'm going to be speaking today. Rusty's going to be speaking next Sunday. And then on the third Sunday, we're going to get together, and we're going to do the talk together. And if you have questions during the service, text them. Where is it? There it is. Over there. Text them to us. And on Sunday, what day is it? The 30th, we're going to answer your questions, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it. Yes? So I'll bring that back up. So write down your questions as we go along here. Now, the idea, nothing and no one against you. This is what I like to call, the full title is The Art and Practice of Nothing and No One Against You. Because I know the first thought that you're thinking, yeah, but you don't know my neighbor. You don't know my boss. You don't know that person on the other side of the aisle. I'm talking about this aisle right here. Right? You don't know my ex. You don't know ... Because there are times when it seems as if someone is against us. Yeah? There are times when it seems that we could do no right. That we're always being persecuted, that we're always carrying that cross. There are times when that happens in life. And so the art and practice is meeting that experience centered in that authentic self that we talked about last Sunday, centered in that divine nature, centered so that you can be who you've come here to be. Now, this was inspired by the quote that this is right in the center, right in the heart of Jesus' big sermon. What's it called again? Sermon on the Mount, thank you. I was thinking the Sermon on the Plains, but that's in Mark. We're talking about Matthew, the Sermon on the Mount. It's the beauty in the imperfection, right? Okay, 3 of you are okay with that. This is Matthew chapter 5, verse 45. You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and send rains to the righteousness and the unrighteousness. This is one of Jesus' favorite techniques of teaching. You have heard it said, but I tell you. And the reason he does this is that he was a devout student of the Hebrew Scriptures. He understood them front and back, and he loved them. But he also recognized that there was a shift that needed to happen. You've heard it said, but I tell you. And it sounds very gentle, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like, oh, well, that's a lovely thought? But in reality, it's really an upheaval of an existing structure, an existing culture, an existing crystallized way of thinking, because they were stuck. They were stuck in their old ways. They were stuck in their old habits, their old beliefs. This is the only way to do things. And what Jesus was saying is that, well, that worked then, but it's not working now. And we're stuck. And it's time for us to move on to a new experience, to a greater level of understanding, to a greater understanding of our oneness with that divine essence of life, love, and wisdom. Jesus' message was one of personal empowerment. And at times, his message seemed in conflict with the Bible, and at times it seemed to expand the definition of the Bible. Because the Bible is a fluid experience for us. In Unity, we look at it as the evolution of our consciousness. From the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, to this experience of upliftment. And it is fluid within us when we look at it spiritually, and very applicable when we look at it spiritually today. Jesus was not teaching you what to do. He was teaching how to be in alignment with that ever-flowing expression of life, love, and wisdom. To be that, what we would call the Christ self, your divine self, that spark of divinity. Whatever word you want to use, the word that I like is authentic. Your authentic self, because that's your authentic being, apart from your ego. This is your authentic self. And then ego is the beautiful expression that we get to present to the world, to each other every day. And so when the ego is aligned with that beingness, that authenticity, then life is good. Then you can live in life in all of the situations, all of the stuff, as if nothing and no one was against you. As Jesus said, children of the Most High, in the consciousness of heaven in you. Heaven is a state of consciousness. He wasn't saying later on, he's saying right now. Understand your oneness with God. Understand your oneness with the infinite flow of life, love, and wisdom. All love, all power, all wisdom, all knowledge. Be one with it. And live from that. And that is the state of consciousness that he called heaven. You are the children of the Most High. Now, today, how do we apply this today? We are in a bit of a cultural shift. Anyone notice? Yeah, there's a cultural shift happen. And there's been several cultural shifts that have happened over the last 40, 50 years. Anybody remember your very first computer? Yeah, so what was it? Shout it out. An Apple. Oh my gosh, you were so late in the game. An Atari, there we go. A Wang. So my very first computer was an IBM PC Junior. Anybody remember those? They're called doorstops now. Yep. It had 64K of memory, not megabyte, not terabyte, K. We had these little cartridges that I would plug in, and these little things called floppy disks that you would probably need to fill this room to have as much data as I have on this little computer here. So that was a cultural change. You want to know what it did for me? I was in let's see, I was in high school. This was probably my junior year. It raised my grade point one full grade above what it was before. I was no longer typing, making mistakes, going with the whiteout, backing up and redoing the paper, starting over again. I was no longer doing that. I could write it all stream of consciousness. I can go in and change it. It had this thing called spell check. Woohoo! Talk about life changing. I don't have to know how to spell another word for the rest of my life. That is a cultural change. And for me, my grades went from a B, okay, maybe a C plus if I was lucky, to a B plus or an A, simply because I could use that device. So here we are today with ChatGPT, with Jesus GPT, with all of these artificial intelligence, all of these systems and more coming out faster and faster and faster, and culture is struggling to keep up. We are struggling to keep up with all of the innovation that we're creating. And the reason is that we haven't shifted our consciousness to the why. We're still in the what. We're going to create new things. We're going to do this. We're going to get more money. We're going to do that. We're going to create things because that's what we do. We're creative beings. And as consciousness evolves, we create greater and greater things. And at some point, we need to shift our thinking around what we're creating. Some people say, we've got to get rid of AI. Well, forget it. You can't. It's here. We've got to get rid of the computers. No, I'm sorry. We can't let our kids use the PDAs. Well, you know what? It's too late. My kids know more about my cell phone than I do, and how to use it, and how to stay connected, and how to build relationships. And so it's different than we did it, or at least I did it. Is it different for you? Has culture changed for you? And how are you feeling about it? Oh, yeah, I'm not so sure. Yeah, it's happening. We're resisting it, and therefore, we think it sucks. I'm sorry, that was a spiritual term. Look it up in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Dang it. I just got fact-checked. Like that. Word. So here's the idea, though. This is our time, and in our time, culture is changing. And in our time, and we see it here right in our sanctuary. We see it in how we do church. We see it in how we go to the grocery store. We see it in how we go to the movies now. We see it in just everything we do. We're shifting. And we can resist it and feel the struggle and the pain and be upset about it, or we can change. And we can learn how to flow with it. And we can change the way we look at it, not just from the perspective of how am I going to be in it, but what am I going to do with it? We are at a time when we need to change our why. Why are we creating this technology? For more money? For the benefit of humanity. And that's where we need to get to. Now, I know not all of you are in high tech. Not all of you are creating gadgets. Not all of you are doing these things. But what are you doing in your life to create this shift in your world? And how can you help this shift in humanity to go from this materialism to, a world that works for all? Are you ready to share your vision of peace with the world? And we shift our consciousness by first shifting our perspectives and living from that authentic self. All of that from, you've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemy. Now, when we look at this idea of love, we're not talking about, the schmaltzy love, right? The romantic love, right? Love is the harmonizing energy of spirit. I like to call divine love that energy of spirit that flows through us, that creates harmony in our mind and our thoughts and our words and our actions and in our body. We create harmony in our world when we are living from love. It doesn't mean be a doormat. It doesn't mean, what you did to me, I will never forgive. well, then you are going to be carrying that resentment and that bitterness with you for the rest of your life, not the other person. Forgiveness is the ultimate aspect, the ultimate act of love, of loving yourself, of allowing that harmonizing energy to flow through us so that I can be free. It doesn't mean I'm going to ask you to dinner, right? That's not forgiveness. There may be some amends, there may be some outer experience, but forgiveness is an inner experience where we let go and we allow that love to flow. I'd like to read a quote by the late Reverend Ed Ravel, who was one of the great Unity Bible interpreters. And if you go to unity.org, you can put in a Bible quote, change to Bible interpretation, the little drop down, and you'll get a lot of great things. Here's what he said about this quote, Matthew chapter 5, verse 45, the Sermon on the Mount. Thank you very much. Jesus was expanding one of his historic basic teachings, judge not. In order to truly be loving to all, it is necessary to release our tendency to judge between good and evil. The ability to express love perfectly is within us. You have it already. You have that ability. It's one of your natural powers. He's not telling us how to act. He's telling us how to be. As we know our oneness with Spirit, it will become the loving, non-judgmental source for all of the choices of our lives. I'm going to read that one again. As we know our oneness with Spirit, as we do our practice of communing with Spirit, as we move into prayer and meditation as a way to develop that within us, as we become still and listen to guidance, to listen to the infinite wisdom telling us and guiding us in a direction. When we listen to that, when we know our oneness with Spirit, it will become the loving, non-judgmental source of all of the choices of your life. It may seem that being perfect is a really severe commandment, but that's not how Jesus saw us. Perfection is simply the truth of who you are. To be perfect, we only have to center ourselves in the spirit we are, and let it flow easily in our lives. Just to become centered. That's really all it takes. It's a practice. Because when you come to life centered like that, somebody can be throwing rotten tomatoes at you, and you'll think it's a game of dodgeball. Become as little children in the kingdom of heaven. Right? You won't take it personally. I was listening to a podcast, I think it was Seth Godin, he was talking about this idea of being perfect. And when you're publishing books, right, they only have 5-star reviews, and there are about 100 of them, and there are no other reviews. And he said that's because it's a very small group of people. And then you look at the best sellers of the world that have moved mountains, that have changed culture, and they all have 1-star ratings. Why is that? Because it made an impact. Because it went out into the world, and there are going to be people who have ears to hear it, and there are going to be people who don't. And that's the whole point about unity, and what we look for is we're here to teach, and if you have ears to hear what we're teaching, then it will do wonders in your life. And if you don't, then just let it sit and practice it and see how it shows up for you, because you may discover that there's a golden nugget in there for you if you practice daily. So here are our 3 steps for this week for living as if nothing and no one were against you. The art and practice of living as if nothing and no one were against you. First, take responsibility. Right, yeah, there's the chortle. Go ahead, let it out. What the? Okay, take a nice deep breath. First, take responsibility. Second, focus on your why, your purpose, your spiritual values. And 3, judge not. So let's start with take responsibility. I love this from This is from the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. It's by Detmer, Chapman, and Klemp. It's a great book, and we'll be using it as we go throughout the year. To net it out, there is above-the-line behavior when we are living from that higher consciousness, when we're living from our authentic self. And then there's below-the-line behavior, which is 98% of the rest of the time. For me, I'm sorry, not for you. I'm not talking about you. So above-the-line behavior, above the line, when we are open, when we are curious, and when we are committed to learning. So just let that sink in for a moment. How often am I open and curious about what's happening? How often am I actually committed to spiritual growth, to learning, to becoming a greater expression of that divine consciousness? Below the behind behavior is when I'm closed, when I'm defensive, and when I'm committed to being right. I'm like wanting to ask you to raise your hands, but I know that might not be good. I'm going to listen to that still small voice. Move on, Riley. So am I open? Am I curious? And am I committed to learning? So think about that when you're coming into an argument with somebody, right, where you're sure you're right, which, for me is like 50% of the time. 50% right and 50. Anyway, so you're sure you're right, and you want to get your point across. Are you open, even open to what they have to say? Are you curious about where they might be coming from? Are you curious, is there something else in there for you to learn? Are you curious, could there be another point in here that could move me forward, that can shift my consciousness, that can shift our relationship if I'm willing to at least understand it? Now, at the end of the day, it may be a no, but at least you have the opportunity to listen, to be open, and to learn. When you're closed off, when you're defensive, and when you're committed to being right, there is no opening. There is no opening whatsoever. So this is how the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership puts it from the perspective of taking responsibility, of being responsible. I am committed to taking full responsibility for the circumstances of my life and for my physical, emotional, mental, spiritual well-being. And I commit to supporting others to take full responsibility for their lives. Now, just let this sink in. I commit to taking full responsibility for the circumstances in my life. So what is around me? The things that are happening around me, the situations, the experiences that I'm having are my experiences. I commit to taking responsibility for them by looking at them from the standpoint of, this is mine. This is mine to own. If I'm experiencing it, it's mine. Taking responsibility, committing to taking full responsibility for the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being of me. I own my own spiritual growth. It's not up to the minister to make you grow. I just say word things. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes not so much. And if you have ears to hear, if you have the capacity to say, what does this have for me? How is this live within me? Is this true for me? Because it may not be. Because I'm still growing too. You've heard it said, as Jesus said about the Bible, but I tell you, he reframed it. Because we're always growing. We're always learning. And even greater things than he had done, we will do when we come from that authentic self. So he was correcting the Bible, he was expanding the Bible, because there are times when we get to a point when we are stuck in our consciousness, when we get stuck in our way of thinking. And that's where we get to this point of culture change, and we are feeling uncomfortable, angry, frustrated, fearful. that toxic fear. So, committing to taking full responsibility for you. Committing to supporting others to take full responsibility for their lives. I'm not responsible for your life. Can you commit to that? Now, yes, some of us have little kids. Some of us have big kids and people that we need to care for. And we do have responsibility for people in our lives. That's a truth. That's what is. But that's not what we're talking about here. It's like on a daily basis, on your interactions with everyone else, right? Can you allow them to be who they are and allow them to take responsibility without trying to fix them, without trying to make them wrong and make you right? Just knowing that it's their responsibility. The second step is, what is your why? Getting back to your purpose. Anybody have a purpose in life? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's about a third of us. Not everyone does. So get a purpose. And what is a purpose? And what is your why? Well, for me, my purpose is to claim, energize, and celebrate the love and joy of the divine in all. That's it. And if I stuck to that, how would my life be different? My values it begins with self-awareness. Everything begins with self-awareness. Once I have self-awareness, I draw from the idea of divine love and wisdom. Draw from love and wisdom, and I act with faith and will. And I express myself open-heartedly. Those are my values. Self-aware, love, wisdom, faith, will, open-hearted. So come from those values. What does that mean? Think about a value for yourself for a moment. What does that mean? In fact, here are a list of values. These are your 12 powers. Everyone has this power, these abilities within you. You have faith within you. You have love within you. Understanding, zeal, strength, power, will, release, wisdom, imagination, order, life. Pick one. Pick one that you truly value, that resonates with you. If you don't understand it, don't worry about that one. But pick one that resonates with you. If you have another word, another value that you live by, bring it to mind for a moment. Everyone got one? I'm down to a third. So just try this. Pick one value, something that you truly value in life. The question is, how do you show up as that? How do you show up as love, the harmonizing energy of the universe? Open-hearted is one of the best things that I've added to my list just recently, probably in the last year. Open-hearted, which speaks to me as like, okay, here's an argument, here's a situation, here's something that's not working for me. Here's where I think I'm right. What if I'm open-hearted? What if I can just be open-hearted in this moment? What if I can deeply listen to what they're saying and then see if there's truth in it for me? What if I can have authenticity in the moment and say, okay, here's what's true for me? So when you come to your why, and this is something that we've been talking about a lot in Unity and in the world. If you're not sure about what your why is, look up Simon Sinek and you can see his video about why is important. It's your purpose. It's how you're showing up in the world. And if you showed up from love, from your own experience, no matter what is out there, you know that nothing is against you. Right? It's just someone else showing up from their own sense of fear, from their own sense of wanting to be right, of below-the-line behavior, of feeling uncertain, of their own wounds. And when you look at it from that perspective, now you can have compassion for someone else, knowing that they are a beautiful, perfect child of God. And they're now wounded. They're living from some fear. That's a different story. Isn't that a different scenario than, that when I said your neighbor across the street? It's a little bit different. So what is your why and what is your purpose? If you anchor yourself in your why, if that is truly why you're here, if you anchor yourself in those values, this is why I'm here, to express that, to be more of that divine consciousness. In everything I do, how would your life be different? how would you show up? And when, the stuff hits the fan, it's like, okay, there's the stuff, there's the fan. Here I am, centered in love, open-hearted, listening to Spirit. And that's really what the third process is all about, judge not. When you start to judge the other person, when you start to judge the situation as good or bad, you've already closed off. You already have this is the only way it can be. Go back to being open, curious, and committed to learning. Judge not, rather turn within to hear the still small voice, the voice of love and wisdom within you. Allow that divine energy, a love spirit, to guide you. It may not be an agreement, right? But at least you're coming from your authentic self, as best you can understand it at the time. And if you need to change that later on, you change it later on without worry, because you did the best that you could do. You're not judging yourself. And then act with faith, act with a willingness to move forward. A willingness to create a new experience in the world. I didn't talk about the below-the-line behavior, did I? I commit to blaming others and myself for what is wrong in the world. I commit to being a victim, villain, a hero, or taking more or less than 100% responsibility. That's the opposite. I take 98% responsibility. I take 114% responsibility. It wasn't them. It was all me. None of those are authentic. Just get back to being you, being that authentic self. Yes? Let's move to our Oh, wait, before we do that, because I'm all fancy now. Oops, now, can you go back one, Felix, on the slides? I went too fast. I was too fancy. If you have questions, comments, doubts, insecurities, it's okay. You can scan the QR code, you can text them to us, and in 2 weeks, Rusty and I will talk about them. Next week, you're going to get a different take on it, a different viewpoint. Another thing to take into your sense of, is it right for me? Something to try, to practice, so that you can be more open to growth. Yes? Thank you. Felix, can you now move to our affirmation? It's very short. It's very sweet. I commit to living my authentic life today. I'm sorry, I didn't give you the prompt. Let me read it one more time. I commit to living my authentic self today. Together, I commit to living my authentic self today. And so it is. So does that feel better? Does it feel different? Can you sense an opening within you when instead of looking at it from the perspective of there's only one way, just to being open to what life has to offer, to moving into a time of discernment, a time of centering in spirit. Let's practice that now. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or soften your gaze as we move within. As we practice the power within us of release, we let go of all of the stress and strain within us. All of those worrisome thoughts, those yeah buts, those fears, we just simply set aside. We scan our body, and if there's any tension, I invite you to relax and put your attention in your feet and feel the earth beneath you. Feel the energy of the earth ground you in this present moment as we breathe. Focusing on our breath, we bring to mind that which we truly appreciate. We bring to mind our values, that which guide us: life, love, wisdom, faith, zeal, imagination, wisdom, release. Bring that word to mind that fills you up, that gives you purpose. That idea of being a beneficial presence in the world. Allow that energy, that love to fill you up and to shine from you today. Breathing into this present moment, into the stillness of the silence. I am one with the infinite flow of life, love, and wisdom. I am blessed and highly favored. And I share my vision for peace in the world today. I allow that loving energy to flow through me now, as I surround my friends and my family, our spiritual community, as I bless each one with that love. I extend that love, that energy out into the world to bless our planet, to heal our world and all of creation in it. We send this love to our prayer chest, either online or in person, surrounding each prayer request with our love. And if there's somebody who you hold in prayer, I invite you to bring their name to mind or say their name out loud now. For all of those prayers in our prayer chest and for all of the prayers in our hearts, we affirm divine love is doing its perfect work, bringing health, harmony, and wholeness in this situation. We surround our state, world, national, local leaders in this same loving prayer, seeing them making wise and loving decisions for peace on earth, goodwill, equality, and justice for all people. And for this time together, for this great expression of spirit, we say thank you, for we are richly blessed. And we celebrate by singing the Alleluia. And with a nice, deep, cleansing breath, we return our attention to this time and space. Allow ourselves to be fully present and allow that love, that harmony within us, that value that we cherish so much to be our guide today. Unity Palo Alto is here to help you discover that spiritual magnificence. Our evolutionary purpose statement is to transform lives and inspire people to do good things in the world, to be a positive difference in the world. We are here because of your loving donations. We are a self-sustaining spiritual community thanks to your donations. And if you'd like to give a gift this morning, you can do it online. There are many ways in which you can support us. The QR code will take you to that place where you can give. If you'd like to give in the sanctuary, there's a box in the back that says love offering, and you can place your love offering in there. But however you give to the world, give with love. Give with that harmonizing energy, because when you give love to the world, you receive love from the world. The affirmation that we say is on the screen, and I invite you to affirm it with me. Together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is.
Every praise is to our God. Every word of worship with one accord. Every praise,
What was that?
every praise is to our God. Every praise is to our God. Every word of worship with one accord. Every praise is to our God. Sing hallelujah to our God. Glory, hallelujah to our God. Every praise is to our God. Every praise is to our God. Every word of worship with one accord. Every praise is to our God. Sing hallelujah to our God. Glory, hallelujah to our God. Every praise is to our God. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. One more time, come on with me. Here we go. Let your light shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine all over the world. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. Let your light shine.
So this was part one. I told Reverend John, well, that part one is a doozy. But how blessed are we that as we take this journey as our inner, you're here for a reason. This inner soul is calling you higher. And you come and we get pushed and nodded and challenged a little bit, encouraged to rise above the line. And so we have this beautiful message that challenges us and lifts us and is answering that calling in why you're here. We have the music that just, again, sets that sacred ground. And we have each one of us, because we're doing this together. Yes, yes? So in our time of connection right now, I want you to think of one word. I will share mine, courage. Courage to do this work. So think of one word that you would need, because guess what? If you need it, someone else needs it. And so for our time of connection, we are going to send it out there. So place your hand on your heart and joyfully, lovingly, excitingly send that one word that is yours that you need, somebody else needs. Send it right now with so much support, so much enthusiasm. And so we can. And so we can, yes. Well, today, Sunday service is not the only time to connect with each other. We have so many opportunities to connect. Okay, so what do we got going on? Let's see, this is the third Sunday of the month. So there's spiritual coffee talk. That's exactly how you have to say it. We're going to coffee talk. And it's after service. It's going to be in the spiritual center, the learning center, and on Zoom. And it's a chance to coffee talk with Reverend John Riley. So head on over to our learning center or pop on Zoom and have a chance to talk about your experience today or what's alive in you. And, because we can't get enough of Reverend John Riley, join his 6-week book study, Eric Butterworth's Discover the Power Within You. This class is going to be offered in person and on Zoom starting on April 20th. Now, Butterworth outlines ways to release the power locked within us for better health, greater confidence, and inspires openness to let our light shine forth. So that's just a taste of what you're going to get in this class. So if you'd like to sign up, go online. And if you'd like to start a yoga and meditation practice that you can stick to, then join. What? Sorry. Okay, we're with it. We got it now. Then join Eric Armstrong for an 8-week course starting April 30th that focuses on breath work and posture for the first 4 weeks, and then moves to internal activation and application the last 4 weeks. So it just sets you up for success, right, Eric? Eric's right there. And now it's next Sunday is Bring Your Lunch Brunch crew. Join them. Come bring a little snack to share or to eat after, and usually in the courtyard. And this is it's a structured event where there's questions and you get to know people better or get to meet people. And it's just a fun way to chat and share more in that structure of community. Yes. So those of you who didn't hear, there was a little testimony that it was a good event to meet people and to learn. So thanks, Eric, for sharing that. So, there's June. Yes, thank you, June, for doing that. Okay, for more of these opportunities, go to unitypaloalto.org and check out the social media channels. There are so many ways to connect and share the good news that is Unity Palo Alto. And now, oh my gosh, I love this part. It's the third Sunday of the month where we bless the children. I don't see any little ones here, unless they're really small and hiding. But let's just focus in on what this is. To me, a blessing is recognizing someone's goodness, recognizing the good for them. Let me get a little, unexpected caught up in today's world. We need to share that blessing for our children. Yes? Yes. So let's hold our hearts to here, our hands to our hearts. And we just take this in. We do the practice of it, and we're going to bless our children with the blessing that's on the screen. You are God's perfect child. God, and I love you just the way you are. Okay, we've blessed the children. Let's all stand up and say peace. We've done it all.
And now our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Love and blessings, everyone. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.